Well, hello there, and welcome to our final video tutorial of content for the semester. We're talking today about popular culture. And at the end of the tutorial today is an opportunity to earn some bonus points by looking at and analyzing a short video that I'm going to play for you. So let's get started. I will share my screen and go to the notes that are in Brightspace and uh, pull them up on the screen here for you. Okay, let us share. All right. Right now you should be able to see my screen, and we're going to go into Brightspace and we're going to look at the notes from popular culture. I'll put them on the full screen here for us so that we can see them. Um, Critical thinking and popular culture. We're talking here about quite a number of things. It's anything that could represent whatever is considered the in thing to do. Okay, we could be talking about television, which is a big part of our lives, the movies we watch, definitely social media. Oh my goodness, when was the last time you checked your screen time on your phone, and how much of that screen time is taken up by scrolling through social media? Also, something on the horizon, generated artificial intelligence is part of our lives every day. We're actually going to see a short video that's going to help us understand part of popular culture's influence that itself was created through artificial intelligence. Okay, the music we listen to, the videos that we watch, including the one we'll be watching at the end of our tutorial today, the fashion, the things we wear, because fashion makes statements, right? We are influenced in what we wear and how we wear, okay? The fads that are part of our lives, the things we do and engage in on a regular basis. Pickleball is a recent fad. If you travel anywhere, you'll know that pickleball has become quite popular throughout the world, and there are pickleball courts springing up everywhere. Okay, language, how we express ourselves, what we say, how we say it, all the different ways that we communicate to people. There are lots of words that come into play for a short period of time. They're popular expressions, and then sometimes they fade away. We talked about that when we were in the chapter on language. Even the food we eat, all right? It's an in thing, maybe to eat certain things. Not that long ago, a popular fad was sushi. Now, sushi is pretty much a staple part of much of the world's cuisine. But years ago, there was just like a popular fad. I mean, you weren't cool if you weren't eating sushi. Okay, our marketing, okay, like what we talked about in commercials and how news media and advertising gets to us that way, and then also lots of other similar trends that we find in society and culture. Okay, what's the big deal? Why are we concerned about it? Well, the most important thing is to recognize the influence that it has on us. Okay, we are in what we consider to be a culture of influencing and influencers. Do you follow any influencers on social media? Not everyone does, but quite a few people do. Okay, they become very popular because of how they express their ideas and concepts. It's even to the point where it's a career, right? There are a lot of young people who, when they're asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" they say, "I want to be an influencer," because they believe it actually has a not only a valid place in our society, but also a very lucrative place where they could make a lot of money by projecting their influence on others and get a lot of bonuses from companies and places that give you something in order to promote them. Okay, so popular culture has a very significant influence over critical thinking and our decision making. What's going on here? Anything that comes into our thoughts, any information that we open ourselves up to, has a potential to influence the way we think. Okay, and many times that influence is camouflage. In other words, we don't really recognize the impact that it has on our thinking. And many times we might even not recognize that it's there and what it's doing to our thinking process. Okay. In analyzing popular culture and its influence, it is important to consider both context and content, not only what I am hearing, but also from whom and how I'm hearing it, all those particular things that we do want to dissect. But one of the places, of course, that it happens quite readily is social media. Let's watch this video from YouTube, which was generated by artificial intelligence, that tells us a little something about social media and how it affects critical thinking.
Does social media affect critical thinking skills? Welcome back to Critical Thinking Secrets, the channel that helps you improve your critical thinking skills. Today's video is about how social media affects critical thinking. A lot of us spend hours on social media every day, but have you ever stopped to consider how it impacts your ability to think critically? Well, in this video, we're going to explore just that. Social media can be a great tool for staying connected with loved ones and for sharing news and information. However, it can also come with some downsides when it comes to critical thinking. Here are a few ways that social media can affect our ability to think critically. Firstly, social media can create an echo chamber. That means we can end up surrounding ourselves with people who have similar opinions and beliefs as us. When that happens, it becomes easy to get misinformation and biased opinions. Our critical thinking suffers because we don't get exposed to other perspectives and are not able to question our own beliefs.
So the idea of this echo chamber is like when you're in a cave or someplace or a building where there is an echo. It's like the same thing, the same sound is reverberating over and over. So that's what's meant by an echo chamber in the media, especially on social media, is that most of the people that we communicate with, that we're friends with, share similar ideas and perspectives to us. So social media marketers know that, and they bombard us in our feeds with all similar thinking and similar minded kind of information and products. So the echo chamber has a way of stopping us from getting out of that similar perspective.
Another side effect of social media is that it can encourage knee-jerk reactions and emotional responses. When we see a post or a news article that triggers us, our response may be to react emotionally and share the content without questioning its legitimacy or accuracy.
That's where you see sometimes people post these rants. They're very angry about something and they rant on and on and on. Sometimes, of course, when calmer minds take over and people realize that they have produced this rant as a reaction to some emotion, they regret it. Okay. But of course, it's too late because it's out there already.
The instinct to share without questioning can happen because social media platforms are designed to keep us engaged, and they use algorithms to surface content that elicits an emotional response. Lastly, social media is full of false information and fake news. People can post anything they want, and it takes very little effort to make it appear legitimate. This kind of information can be harmful if it influences our decision-making and beliefs. To wrap up, social media impacts critical thinking in many ways. It can present a narrow view of the world, encourage emotional responses, and spread false information. It is essential to be mindful of these pitfalls and make a conscious effort to think critically while consuming content on social media. Don't be quick to judge and share content without proper vetting. By doing so, we can help preserve our ability to think critically and objectively, and be a shining example of how to use social media wisely.
Okay, and that's important because we're not condemning the tool, we're condemning some of the ways that people have abused it and wrongly or unfortunately manipulated other people's minds. Okay. Okay. In order to really do a good job of analyzing popular culture, we need to have some point of reference. Okay. Something in order to tell us, okay, um, what are these dimensions involved in understanding this video, this post, this television show, whatever it might be, right? And here are the 6 dimensions that are the most useful to us, okay? First off, very important, the frame of reference, meaning whose perspective is the story being told, okay? Is it from the author? Is it from the main character? Is it from an observer? Who is really telling us? Like when there is an accident, the police officer comes to the scene and he interviews people. He asks what happened, right? And he recognizes, or she recognizes, that they're getting information from various perspectives. And it is through all the different perspectives that the police officer usually then can analyze what may have actually happened, right? And they need to know when they're listening to somebody, who's telling this story, right? Is it the person who approached the intersection from the west, from the east? Is it the person who was driving excessively fast? Whatever. They need to know a little bit more about who is telling the story to get a good outcome of what the actual facts might be. Then we have what's called the mythological dimension. The mythological dimension is talking about traditional storylines that may be at work in whatever it is we're looking at, meaning heroes, villains, people who might need to be rescued, like victims, okay, any trusty companions and friends, because all of these people make up a story that has the potential to influence our thinking. Okay? And what about the social dimension? How are factors like race, gender, age, social class, relationships, nationality, and education expressed? What are we hearing about the people involved in the story, the place involved in the story? Because that can be influenced in ways that might not present a very good picture of society for us. Let's look at this video in understanding how that occurs.
We value a black president, but we don't value black people, right? We love black music, but we don't love black people. We want to hear it, but we don't want to fund the schools that have the music programs that will later turn into the next great musician. With white people, you see them all kinds of ways. They're heroes and they're villains. They're princesses and they're poor, right? There's a range of that. But when it comes to people of color in the media, we don't get that. Popular culture actually shapes how we understand reality. That's where our ideas of black people and Muslims can challenge what race means. I like to say that images of Muslims in the media are plentiful but monolithic, right? So you have these two kind of ways people show up. They're always quote unquote like originally from someplace else, and they're quote unquote brown, which might mean South Asian or Arab or Middle Eastern. And that's true whether it's something negative, so you're kind of like, run-of-the-mill terrorist on nighttime TV, or if it's something a little more complex, like Aziz Ansari's character on Master of None. The problem with these sort of characterizations is that it continues to perpetuate this idea that Muslims are in fact foreign, which is a problem in America. And the reason why it's a problem in the United States is because the ways in which the country works around race and xenophobia, right, is that your loyalty, like you're only really loyal to the country if you're basically white, male, Christian, and have some money. When you see an image over and over and over again, so if you see like a story about a black person as a criminal, like criminalization of black people is something that people think is like natural, right? It's because why? Because they've heard it from their politicians, they've read it in their textbooks, and they've seen it in their films, and in their movies, and their novels, and their commercials, right? And the jingles, right? They've seen it in so many different spaces. So therefore then, what happens is when they see a black person, they make a series of assumptions about them before they even know who the person is. And so when we don't have better representations that are complicated, that give us the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the exciting, the boring, right? About different kinds of people, we want people who are complex, because humans are complex, right? And so popular culture can help by actually doing that, by giving us sort of complicated sort of narratives, even if they're small, right, of who these people are. Representations don't have to be perfect, right? If you have a Muslim on a TV show, they don't have to be perfect because you don't want the opposite, right? So you have like a really bad person and then you have the good Muslim, but they're only good because they're not bad. What ends up happening is for the people who are depicted in really sort of stereotypical ways, they experience sort of erasure. So they're supposed to be a part of a community, are supposed to be a part of a society, but they don't feel like it because they're not reflected. And when you're not reflected, it's also telling you a message that you're not valued.
Okay, so that is powerful stuff. Okay, what we're hearing then is that what happens in this perpetuation of stereotypes in the media, that it begins to shape the way people in society begin to look at people, okay, which is not a very helpful thing at all. As a matter of fact, it's a very harmful thing. Okay, whether it be people of color, poor people, immigrants, women, as opposed to men, whatever it might be, different types of sexualities. These stereotypes that are perpetuated can be a real problem for critical thinking. All right, then we have the ethical and spiritual dimension. We're talking about the values, okay, what's important, what matters in our lives and in society. How is God expressed? Is there a belief in God in the story, in the post? Okay, that's something to be considered because a lot goes along with that. Justice matters a lot. How are good and evil played out? All right, does right triumph over wrong? All right. Sometimes in some movies we find ourselves rooting for the bad guy. Oh, I hope he doesn't get caught. I hope he gets away with it. Okay. And violence can be glamorized, right? In all these action movies, all this shooting going on, there's usually very little consequence or implications with the death toll. We don't see any grieving family members after somebody comes in and shoots up the scene. Okay. And lastly, the philosophical dimension. How are the meaning and purpose in life projected? Okay, is there some kind of deeper understanding behind the story or the post or what's going on being projected? Okay, all right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to put this to work in a bonus opportunity. There is a bonus opportunity on Brightspace for you to do, and it is about this particular movie that we are going to watch. Okay, it's called Rizzo. All right, I hope you enjoy.